Word is born, I'm coming to get my culture cipher, God. Word is born, I am the man.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Word is Bond TV. Of course, we got some heat for you. It's going to be a good conversation. I have an amazing guest, one of my favorite people in the world, notorious baddie, prolific sticker bomber. I once received a text from somebody who I don't think even knows you, but they sent me a picture of one of your stickers and says, "Wow, she really gets up." And I think this was like in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And I was like, absolutely. The one and only Maxelle Talena.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
I stole my name from the bassist from Kitty, Talena. She was like my favorite. She was the one I had a crush on, but you know, at the time, like I wasn't even like, I was like 12. I wasn't actually like sexual. I didn't have sexual. I just was fascinated with her, and Kitty was my band that it was like, oh, I was into the girl nu metal band, whatever. So out of respect, I named my last name after my original girl that I wanted to be.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, they were icons, and they were definitely babes, and they fucking rippers.
They ripped. Yeah, they were hard as hell.
They were so heavy. They were very, very good. You know, and to be completely transparent, the reason not only is Maxelle one of my good friends, but you know, one of the topics I've been wanting to talk about, and because it's something that has been an issue for quite some time, but for some reason I think it's really ramping up. And a lot of my friends, you know, a lot of my trans friends have been telling me like, hey, shit's getting bad. Shit's getting really, really bad. And it's getting worse. And at first, you know, I was like, yeah, well, everything's getting worse. So I don't know what you're talking about. But then I realized, you know what? Just because I'm never going to beat the chaser accusations doesn't mean I'm qualified to talk about this by myself. So I figured I may as well bring a good homie in who can maybe help me out and give me give a little insight to this.
Well, first of all, I give you a pass to get out of the chaser allegations any day. Handsome men that treat women with respect, especially trans women, that's trade right there at most, you know, like,
yeah, right.
You're a valorated, I think that's like one of his situations where it's like, oh, and he's down with the girls. But anyway,
like the whole thing, I've had so many people tell me, you know, like, well, you know, I have a black friend, and I don't want to tell him like, hey, listen, I fuck trans people. I don't want to. That doesn't quite qualify me, I don't think. But you know, so that's you know that's why we're here. And you know, like I said, it's something that a few friends have like, you know, reached out to me about, and we've talked about. And again, I wasn't being dismissive, but I've kind of like, everything sucks.
Everything sucks right now. Also, I did this, and I actually had to, you know, take a seat and chill and realize, because I originally, when trans people were like freaking out, I went with the woker than thou opinion or whatever. And I'll get into it, you know, like what the whole process of fear was. But like, one of my first reactions, and I don't think it was wrong necessarily, is that like, I was like, yes, we're being scapegoated by the media. But if you're a trans woman like me, who grew up middle class and white, it's not that we're not experiencing it now. And it's not that we didn't, you know, deal with homophobia or, you know, all these other internal things when we were younger. But this is our first time having the media be like, we hate you. And, you know, as much as was into punk and stuff, and that's all about society hating you, you're kind of encouraging it, you know? Like,
yeah.
I have 20. I mean, I did not spend that. It's a New York stereotype to my friend hooked me up, but it's true. But I have like 20 grand worth of tattoos on my face and hands to tell people not to trust me. Thing is, I bet I get doors held open for me more often than you do. And that's just an assumption, but by like old white people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know if I can count on my hands how many doors have been held open for me. And you know what? Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and blame the patriarchy on that one.
Okay,
right?
yeah. Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, I can count on my hands how many times someone didn't let me in their building, and this is full tattoos. And out of one time it was a black dude, which I thought was funny. Out of the 2 times in my career of it, people didn't just give me a like open the door, maybe a quick what floor are you going to or whatever. And like I have a cross tattooed on my face. Like I have there's no reason that I mean I'm a soft girl, but anyway, it's not the same thing. So I was just gonna say that I tried to take this stance where I'm like, hey, maybe we all need to calm down for a second. It's our first time being scapegoated, but as bad as it feels to see a video of some unhinged, like trans woman we think is cringe and that makes us feel embarrassed or that's on the news in bad optics, or as much as we feel doomed by people saying overtly transphobic things, stuff like that. I mean, I'm 37. I know we're around the same age. How old are you?
38. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we both, 9/11, like we watched the Muslim community become a huge scapegoat. Like,
and we're seeing it again right now, and it's really wild.
Exactly. And, and also, so I was like, look, the media has been treating black people like this. They've been treating immigrants like this. They've been treating Muslim people of the Muslim faith, people that are Arabic like this. We need to calm down. We need to stop centering ourselves. A lot of stuff it came from the right place. But then, like, a lot of my, black and Muslim friends were just like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Well, no one's like, oh, welcome to the club. It's just like, yeah, that sucks. Like, solidarity, we got your back,
Yeah, and like from where I was coming from, I've kind of like taken this stance and position kind of where I was like, I'm kind of past trying to fight racism and bigotry because those things are just ingrained in society in the way we are, right? And that's kind of where I was at. I was like, kind of like, yeah, well, like, welcome to the party. It sucks. They're, they hate us, and now you're us, you're part of it. But then, I became more aware that it's beyond just like accusing every mass shooter of being trans. It's beyond, like awful anti-trans rhetoric. It's to the point now where it's legislation, and it's beyond bathrooms. And in that research, I actually found this amazing website that's called translegislation.com. And it's really amazing. It's really telling. And you can kind of see the escalation this is happening at. The amount of bills that are being proposed and being passed. And you can see the escalation. In 2021, there were 153 anti-trans bills proposed, 18 passed. 2022, 174 bills proposed, 26 passed. 2023, 615 bills proposed, 87 passed. So you can see the steady growth, right? 2024, 701 bills proposed, 51 passed. 2025, the year we're in right now, there have been 1,005 anti-trans bills proposed and 122 passed. And that doesn't mean the rest of them are not going to be passed. That means they're probably still in, they're still in being proposed and still being debated and all that stuff. And this escalation is crazy. It is to the point where it's like, oh, cool. So we're not just worried about hate crimes. Now you got to worry about just, existing and not just being arrested for existing.
Yeah. And even in liberal ass cities like New York, where hate crimes still happen, Free Jaya Cruz, who just got sentenced to 15 years for self-defense, and that was disgusting. The story was so distorted that when I was raising money for her bail fund, I didn't. When I was putting up money and asking other people, we did a rich white trans girls throw down a stack for Jaya Cruz challenge, but that got 3 of us involved, and one of them was not white. But anyway, when we were talking about that, I didn't even realize it was self-defense because it was so hard to actually find that out. I was just like, you know what, like, she's going to have a hard time in jail. I want her to have support. I didn't realize, I mean, I thought it was, but I didn't realize it was on the record that, he called her the F slur and, or he called her a faggot, and she told him to fucking get back. Stuff like that. This is a city that girls now from all over the country are coming to. And that's just, one example. And it was very public and in the news. But on top of that, we used to have bills that they were like referred to as like walking while trans. It was actually rules about being able to stop women, I believe, and search for them for suspecting them being prostitutes. But just being a trans woman was so sexualized or so considered that I mean, talking about our existence was considered pornography up until a certain point.
It's that convolution of people tend to convolute gender and sex.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing, Yeah. And like you said, people, a lot of it too was we have that coastal elitism, where we're able to kind of feel comfortable where we're at because I'm in California, you're in New York. And I'm looking at this list of, most active states in 2025. And of course, and it's a list of how many bills they have anti-trans bills they have in consideration at the moment. And for instance, Texas has 139 right now.
Yeah.
Missouri 67. But but we're still, California still has 6. New York has 7.
I mean,
and that's remarkable.
California, I don't have to tell you we were there at the same fucking night, but California legalized slavery. I mean, like, people that are counting on, I'm not even going to go into a liberal thing, but blue states and our politicians, I'm not even going to there's lots of critique and lots of hate for certain people at the No Kings protest and the brunch Hillary crowd. But right now, I'm just looking at our politicians and what, some people have actually, advocated for us. I mean, a lot of people have half-heartedly. It became a cultural issue. So it did become a little, the Democrats are ready to throw us under the bus all the time. A lot of them are, but it became kind of part of their platform, just like science is real or something like that. Because of all the vitriol. I remember, I do this podcast Dysphoria now, but it was originally Dysphoria Dimes with two different people. And when we started out that show, if I searched transgender in the news, the biggest result at that time was Dave Chappelle. And before that, it would be sports or bathrooms sometimes. Obviously, very, in bathrooms is especially a safety issue. But I remember we first did an episode where we read a really shitty transphobic article, and it was awful. It was published in The Guardian as fact. And the title was "Lesbians Say They Are Being Pressured into Sex by Transgender Women," and it was not an opinion piece. They ended up having to change the headline. They quoted some insane transphobe that they took out of it without admitting why. Typical awful journalism. But that was that was a significantly stupid article, and I like called into Street Fight, rest in peace to that show, about it, and they gave me a very first show. It was a call in, but they gave me a voice to talk about it for like half an hour, and Brett and Brian always super down the dad figures to all the various misfit queers.
I mean, that's where I first heard guys, gals, non-binary pals.
Yeah, which,
that was like the first. I was like, oh, cool, like that's a fun way to be inclusive and hold the homies down.
It like meant so much to me. I think one of my first tweets from my new account, and no, I didn't know you yet. I tweeted, and it was trying to get everybody to follow me kind of thing. Maybe I knew you. I didn't know, but I tweeted something that I said like, cis dudes getting mad about transphobia means so much more to me when I know they've thrown and taken a punch. And I'm not saying like, I'm not trying to like demasculinize, the typical science is, I don't know, like the queer coded straight guy who's maybe a chaser that, has a trans women or women sticker, whatever. The DSA guy that my first day out opened a door for me and said ladies first, like you would ever say that to a cis woman, whatever.
Yeah.
But what I mean is like for us, especially, like I used to, I mean, a lot of the dudes I fucked with didn't disown me or didn't, I'm sure you've had something similar of an experience, but I came out at 32, so I didn't really have to disown get disowned by too many of the guys that I grew up with, that I was in a crew with, because I had already around 25 or 26 realized that. And I was, I was obviously still in the closet, but, or I didn't know, but I realized that all the dudes I was in the crew with hated women so much that I had to just completely, redo the way I live my life. And I think that's something if you grew up in the punk or hardcore scene, especially, I'm sure you've had that experience where some people you can really talk to, and some people, you just don't want to be around them anymore.
Yeah, where is that whole thing where it's like, oh, cool. So you guys like y'all don't know this yet, but like I'm a woman, and you've been very clear with me how you feel about them, and so therefore I don't really feel safe about that. And so like that's kind of thing, like these things that we're coming up against, and like, some people, like for example the legislation thing. It's like, okay, so what does this look like, and so this website is amazing. Again, if you need to check out, it's translegislation.com, and it's exactly what it sounds like, and it just keeps you updated. What does this look like? How do you villainize, and how do you put how are these laws that they're proposing put trans people in danger and disrupt their lives? And it's things like, so they have these categories. One of them is education. It says, these bills target educational settings. They aim to deny students name and pronoun autonomy, forcibly out trans students to their parents, and ban basic gender identity education, among other goals. We've heard about this. It's like, okay, cool. So you don't feel safe at home. You confide in a teacher. They want to make it illegal for that teacher to keep your secret and to keep your confidentiality. Yeah. And then we have things like, like healthcare. There's something that we've seen happen a million times where it's like they find this way, they're trying to find this way to be like, oh well, there's still some science that's happening here. And it's like, fuck off with all that. That's not what we're talking about. So this is a number of bills seeking to prohibit gender affirming care. Medical care supported by every major medical association has surged in recent years. Many seek to outlaw care to minors and adults. And others would impact insurance coverage and access to services. So a lot of this stuff they've done under the guise of protecting the children. Yeah, but it's beyond that. It is like, because there's so many things in this world where it's like, listen, but like I know this sucks, but you got to tough it out until you're 18. You just got but now they're like, fuck that, doesn't matter. Another subject is sports. We've all heard about this. We all know about the sports thing. It's like these cis women get beat by somebody who is fucking 10 years transition, they're a
Yeah.
woman, and you know,
They get
in
beat
every
in
sense of the word,
chest and
get
they
beat.
freak out.
Yeah, it's like rather than train harder, be better. It's like, well, this is not my fault. We've seen this. Bathrooms. We all know about bathrooms. We all know about the bathroom stuff. They're trying to do more bills like that. There's performance is one of them. The performance category grew quickly in 2023, targeting gender nonconforming events and business that host them. However, the language of the laws is so broad, it could extend to performances of Shakespeare. So this is, you know, it is everywhere. It is. Like I said, the growth in these past 4 years is insane. And, you know, and I'm somebody who's pretty engaged. I'm pretty aware of what's going on. And I didn't realize how bad it was. Like, I knew it was bad. I just thought it was like, yeah, it's bad. Like, to be any type of minority is bad right now. But yeah, it is wild to see these numbers corroborating how much the trans community is under attack right now.
Yeah, and you know, it's kind of just to demoralize you from all sides. Like,
yeah,
you know, and that's one of the problems I've been seeing, and I don't believe in having to do, like, I think it's very important to acknowledge advantages and, you know, sometimes straight up privileges, you know, like white privilege, obviously very real. I don't believe that safety is a privilege. You know, safety is an advantage. Like, we all deserve safety. There's like different things, but I don't want to push the Overton window. That's a personal gripe of mine, because I've seen certain trans people call each other privileged for being less likely to be attacked, and I'm like, we got to think differently. Not that, you know, that's but I'm just taking a breath. I think that you know, I am one of the safer people. That doesn't mean that I haven't been in multiple situations where I really fear for myself. You know, being in Brooklyn, being someone who dresses like a tomboy, when it's not the summertime, I don't really get read as a girl a lot. And I'm okay with that because of some of the nature of, like, you know, I do like foot deliveries, like envelopes and stuff for payroll, shit like that. I do not know what neighborhood I'm going into. I have a lot of tattoos. I'm going to have a conversation with a lot of men. It's fine if they don't. I don't want to have a stop and chat about my pronouns with all of them. So, but whatever, that's me. And without even getting into privilege stuff, it's just that I don't fear for my safety the same way someone who actively presents femme every day does, or someone who lives in a different, if someone like I almost cried. Shout outs to my homegirl Auntie Lola on Instagram and I think Twitter. She told this story about going out with her family. I'm not going to say what state she lives in, but it's one where the bathrooms, the bathroom, you're not legally allowed to go to the bathroom as a trans woman. And she was talking about, you know, her she went out with her sisters, and hey, they haven't always been perfect and they haven't always been super supportive. But she was saying how she like peed, you know, immediately before they went to Dave and Buster's or whatever it was. And she kept watching her drinks the entire night because she doesn't want to go outside and piss and get, you know, indecent exposure, especially if there was a restaurant with kids or whatever. And, you know, she's very feminine, and it would be definitely something if she walked into the men's room, and I'm not saying it depends on looks, but whatever. And she's like, I don't want to be put in handcuffs or go to jail if somebody clocks me. She was, you know, she talked about how her sisters like offered to go to the bathroom with her, and that was like the first showing of solidarity. And I realized my life is so different than that. So why I was bringing this up was not just, I mean, I do want to give the listeners some context of how I think about a lot of these things, but what I mean is it's hard for me to read about all these bills and all these things.
I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's hard for you to read about them. I used to say that Minion Death Cult was my favorite source for trans news, me and my old co-host Molly, because I wouldn't be actively seeking the shit out, given there was a lot less.
Mhm.
But as it became more of a culture war thing, I could kind of count on you guys to rip these fucking assholes in half. And it was very relaxing because I didn't have to think about this or get mad about this. And I could just hear my parasocial / real homies, you guys in Street Fight and Trillbillies. But I also I'm gonna blank. I mean, the Sarah Mae Silverman or whatever that loser's name is was a really funny moment in skateboarding and just people dunking on her.
I forgot her name, but she sucks.
Yeah, and I mean, like, not to keep talking about your old podcast too much. It was just influential to me. So I always it's like, I wasn't gonna say, like, I'm trying to think of a good example, but I can't right now. Of bands that are just as sick as the original. But yeah, what I wanted to say is I remember, this is how much a nerd I am about your old podcast, listeners. So yeah.
Well, I mean, rest assured, I think anybody who's hearing this is only hearing this because they did listen to Minion Death Cult.
For sure. I'm sure, but I don't know. I see potential for, not that your old one would have dissuaded people, but I also wanted to announce that I know you are not hitting a bomb right now, but I brought out my CBD weed and carved out a little apple beforehand so I could be smoking during it as well. But yeah, I remember early on, there was a listener question episode, and someone asked, what do you avoid covering? And at this point, it was just culture war stuff. I think Trump wasn't even elected yet. Not that these things weren't happening, but one of the answers was, it was like immigration stuff and trans stuff, because it just, in the Facebook times, it went just straight to the genocide. It went straight to the death cult. And it was like, we're not helping by reading any of this, and we don't want to read this. But then I watched as it evolved. Like I said, that the search results for my first podcast, when I searched transgender every week, would be Dave Chappelle. I watched it. We all watched it get thrust into the culture war. There are now, trans women that I'm not interacting with on a personal level or seeing them at parties level, but 18 to 21, whatever, I'm not doing the math, like trans people that don't remember, a presidency before Trump's or what, the second one. Yeah. Or I guess, yeah. Well,
that's but I know what you mean, though, because like the thing is, there is a giant swath of the population who genuinely did not realize that they were living amongst encountering, interacting with trans people all the time, but then they were told, like, now to be worried about it. They had no idea, and now they're hyper aware of it, and it's a very big thing. And funny, you were talking about privilege, and that's something that I can relate to as a mixed black man, because there's this thing that happens in these marginalized communities where there is kind of this like hierarchy of oppression. Where, yes, I do think that we need to acknowledge like our privilege. Like I know that because I am light skinned, like I understand that I do have some privilege.
Yeah.
Because colorism is an age old tale.
Sure.
And that there was something similar that was I was watching happening amongst the trans community where, when people were saying, protect the dolls, and absolutely, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But then people were like, hold on, do we need to protect the dolls, or do we need to? Because the dolls are fine. The dolls are hot, and they were trying to say that the dolls are only passing hot girls.
Yeah,
and they were trying to say that, and they were trying, and it's like, well, what you forget is that doesn't actually matter. What matters is honestly, our opinion as the marginalized people does not matter. What matters is, what does the oppressor think? Because at the end of the day, the oppressor will never see me as white. I will always be black or other to the oppressor. Just like it doesn't matter how hot you are.
Yeah.
If the oppressor,
or how passing,
oppressor, how passing you are, the oppressor, when they realize that, it's the same amount of hate. It doesn't matter. And that's something I think is really important to understand within these communities. Like, fuck all that. It's all of us.
Absolutely.
It's all of us, and that's all that matters.
I'm really glad you brought that up. And I mean, not to dissect that too much. I will say, and this is just a personal thing, and it comes with its own shit. And the thing is, when you're scared that somebody is going to find an excuse to kill you for who you are, or wants to kill you for who you are, that's that fear. Like, people, as I said, I think it's really important to acknowledge privileges within these situations. Privileges, advantages were given by certain things, but it's like, as I said, the Overton window. For example, I was going to say that 6 months out of a year, I cannot be seen as trans in most circumstances, which that's just like, that's just because I like to dress like the kids that were mean to me in high school. But no, I had
you had some swaggy bullies.
Yeah, no, I had Tim's. I had Tim's.
Your bullies had that shit on. That's crazy.
Yeah, no. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it would be like kids with the Mecca FUBU, and this is a racially diverse crew of Mecca and FUBU wearing kid, and then just like the Italian Guido. I guess they were wearing that shit too, but
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was it was a cool time. Like, I remember seeing 50 Cent and I was like, oh, that dude looks like the kids in New York that are kicking my ass right now. But anyway, what I was going back, I'm glad you brought up the Protect the Dolls thing, because I had so many issues with so many parts of that. Mainly, one, I would see these arguments, and Twitter arguments aren't real necessarily. Like, they sometimes reflect what's going on in our communities. I don't know or weigh in on Black Twitter, obviously. Trans Twitter has so much going on. There's these weird little fights that don't exist in real life. And they're, are you on Threads?
No. Should I be on Threads?
No, it is the worst. It is the most insane. Maybe we all should, but not post. It is like, it's what happens when you give everyone who was on Facebook a Twitter.
Yeah, that does sound kind of scary.
We're both,
Twitter's already bad enough.
Yeah, both. There might be less Nazi shit, but it's like both the like uncle, Minion Death Cult uncle, and the 2014 to 617 left book, it's just a place for people to post engagement bait that creates infighting amongst their own community and be rewarded for it.
And have we ever seen that type of infighting be productive?
It's gotten people paid, but yeah, no,
it's gotten people paid for sure.
But
but I don't think it's definitely has not helped the issue. It definitely is not move the fight forward.
Exactly. And so, but I won't even look at the trans stuff on Threads because I just get mean. I don't post, I just think mean. Anyway,
yeah.
But I was seeing this thing go on, and I don't want to say that's representative of the trans community at all. I think one thing I always try and convey to younger trans people sometimes who reach out to me online, because it's been known to happen, is that a lot of the things that they're seeing and upset by or about fights within the trans community aren't real. And if they don't look at Twitter, they're never going to have to think about these things. But yeah, there was this fight between kind of this argument about privilege between, let's just say, dykes and dolls. And debatably, both those words in general were stolen from Black culture. I don't have the etymology of this to weigh in, but I did think that was it was an interesting thing that those are the two labels that, kind of took a head for this.
Well, what I will say to kind of back you up on that is that I can pretty safely say that anything that is remotely cool in American culture or quote Western culture is derived from Black culture, and it doesn't get and dykes and dolls are pretty fucking cool. Yeah. So yeah, that does clock. That does make sense. Yeah. I guess I could have used a different word than clock, but it does.
No, it does great. No. I love that. But no, that's really true. And I'm not trying to get into the whole appropriation versus appreciation thing, at least right now for this. But anyway, so besides the people that were pointing out that both of those words may be problematic or whatever the argument is, there was this fight between the straight trans girls and the lesbians, or at least there was these two sides where all those posts were getting traction and people were arguing, because people were arguing if public defenders were cops, on Twitter. Mm-hmm. This shit could be solved with yelling at them and being like, no, shut up. But anyway, and I saw this thing happening where everyone was trying to argue who was in less danger. And that's when I saw this, I was like, I will never call safety a privilege. When somebody is made to feel unsafe for what they are, what might sound the wrong word, but not because they have a fucking Nazi political affiliation, or not because they have a whatever political affiliation or radical act, for who they are, for their identity. When you're being made to feel unsafe, that's like a violation. That's violence.
Exactly. Yeah.
And, I'm also not talking about like white people worried about their neighborhood being destabilized. I'm talking about like autonomy. And anyway, so I've been trying to beg. I was like, this is not a discussion of privilege. Let's talk about the advantages we have. Let's talk about how we can look out for each other. Like, there are drawbacks to both things, and no one wins by trying to prove someone has it easier when we're all marginalized people, which is, I appreciate being able to talk with you about that, because, that's the infighting within the trans community or just some of it. But yeah.
Like we said, it's just funny because that whole thing is just so it's fruitless. And like all you're doing, you're forgetting that like there is an oppressor, there is an enemy, and the enemy is not the person who could afford all the procedures, or the person who, like, no matter what they do or what they can have access to, will always be a little quote clocky, like that's not important.
And I mean one of the big things that they were talking about is. And I think it's important to acknowledge, like, as someone that was in a dyke doll couple, I was girl trade, and it was really special. I love the dolls, and I love the borderline straight girls. This might be like my problematic, like the thing that'll ruin me. We all got ours, but anyway, I learned to appreciate that culture a lot more. And I think that actually I learned, like not all of those girls are like, passing as a relative term with Eurocentric beauty standards and, but for the first time, and I don't mean to make roll my eyes when I say the Eurocentric beauty standard stuff, but for the first time I was like, hanging out at these parties with more of the nightlife girls. And one, it was a way more diverse scene than the way more political trans lesbian scene by far. These girls were wild problematic with each other, but they were like, it's kind of how like Republican dudes pretend or like to fantasize about working class guys just sitting around all busting each other's balls equally about race.
Yeah.
But it's like
locker room talk.
Yeah, it's locker room talk with these cunty women. Yeah. And anyway, I think it's really, I have a lot of respect for that culture, because, you know, the representation of trans lesbians, even though we've always been here, is kind of new and it's kind of different. And I just think it's like the only kind of transsexuals that I knew when I was growing up were like passing as survival, you know, just the really glam girls that I would see in the West Village or anyway. So seeing that weird division, or also like there's this terrible non-binary AMAB person wrote an article that it still irks me, and it was from Pride, and I never finished my rebuttal think piece because they bothered me so much. But it was like essentially they are a completely male presenting. They talk about it in their piece. They say that they feel more comfortable with working class cis people. Sometimes they do than with glamour queers, they called them. And they basically pigeonholed all the girls that care about nightlife and partying as these empty-headed. It was just such misogyny, but technically, I mean, but they weren't a man. They were a non-binary AMAB person. Anyway, the funniest thing they said in it is like, they were like, I worry about my girlfriend that does not fit the definition of doll or whatever. And it was like, you could have phrased that nicer, even if it's a political point. But then, like,
yeah, imagine being the girlfriend reading that.
And you know, she's a dyke, she's a beautiful woman, but I was like, damn. Anyway, they did this entire thing where they were like, yes, protect the dolls, but don't forget about the like fat, hairy, trans femme, gender non-conforming. And like, first of all, they just did everything wrong in this article, because it was someone who just has like avoided critical thinking by being no longer a man and stopped having to do any kind of checking in intersexualism. I'm going to get in trouble for that on my niche audience. But anyway, also it was wild because, you know, they were, this is my new fascination, and it's always going to be a little my fault, because I'm obsessed with white queers that call each other white as an insult. I'm sure you see it happen.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Exactly what you mean.
And it's not like a funny cultural definition of just like it's like a real vicious accusation of YT.
What's funny is when that happens, it's like it's this lack of self-awareness, and this like, well, I'm insulting you saying I'm white, which is basically me saying like I'm not. It's like, you know, it's kind of like, you know, I'm not like other girls. It's like I'm not like other whites.
Yeah, and I straddle that line. I have to admit it. And as a New Yorker who went to a public school in the late 90s, some of it is maybe my right. You know, I just know I walk a line, and I always try and check myself or just get checked. You know, but I always admit that I come from like a pussy ass neighborhood. I got my ass kicked, but anyway, yeah, no, there's this it turns it into a trait you can learn yourself out of. And I can get guilty of that at times. But in general, it's just it's funny as hell to accuse each other of that.
Well, it's funny too, because like something that's happening in that is, like I said, you're getting lost in the sauce, you know. It's like, okay, so now we're talking about like, now we're convoluting you know, identity with like subculture, almost, where it's like you're telling somebody how to exist as themselves. Like the way you're, hey, listen, the way you're doing it's wrong. The way you're, you know, all that, that's like I said, that none of that matters. The only advice that I will give any other marginalized community, when it comes to like how to operate or how to like do whatever, the only advice I will give anybody, because I don't think you should tell anybody how to like live their life. The only advice I'll give anybody is buy a gun. That's the only advice I have for anybody.
Okay.
Is buy a gun.
Can I not push back on that, but can I ask you some questions on that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I mean, you're a gun owner, and I know you're a responsible gun owner. I'm not just saying that to reassure my audience, but it's something that you take seriously. Like you're not like militia posting. That was a term that my friend Tara, shout outs to Tara, bundle of sticks. She hasn't messaged me back, but I gotta up her everywhere I go.
Absolutely.
I called her the King Von of trans Instagram, but she changed it.
That's a amazing acclaim.
Yeah, but she changed it to Instagram, and I was like, I'm pretty sure. Okay, you win. But anyway, I was like, she's not. I don't have a podcasting network. I just have free hosting, and I was like, when people are like, "Oh, Tara's, problematic," or whatever they, dumb. Tara ain't no hitter. I was doing the entire Chief Keef intro, but I was like, why would I not sign the King Von of Instagram? But anyway, yeah, I'm sorry, I totally spaced after.
I think maybe I might be able to qualify and maybe answer those questions.
Yeah.
What I mean when I say buy a gun, what I mean is,
that's
if you are in a position where you can safely own a gun, and learn how to use it properly, and it's safe for you, do it. It obviously there are extenuating circumstances where you can't, like I had roommates for a while where I didn't want to be responsible for anybody else act, that kind of thing. Yes. So to qualify it, hopefully, I don't know if that's kind of where you were going with that, because I do understand that concern. Like, not everybody can, because some people, it might be an issue of personal safety for them to own a gun themselves. And I understand that. Very deeply. Yeah. So I mean, I guess I do want to qualify that. Sometimes I get a little presumptuous and assume that anybody who's like listening to me kind of like knows that, but that is presumptuous.
No, I guess what I just got distracted once I said King Von of Instagram, but what I meant is she was making fun of, and in a nice way, she was making fun of white trans women, what she calls militia posting. Because, a lot of that was like, okay, we're going to learn survival and we're going to do and I think those things are important. But she was just saying, as someone who grew up in the South around guns, that some of like the Instagram, like, we're ready stuff, which I think is important. Don't get me wrong. Like, was like, she was just like, there needs to be so much work, and she's just like, I don't know, but she wasn't against people owning guns for protection. She was talking about, like, which is something that one of the first arguments you came to my rescue, or we got into with someone on Twitter, is you posted a video of, I don't know if it was Proud Boys or 3%ers or whatever, 1%ers, 5%ers is some whole different shit. Totally. And they were like training in Revolutionary War gear.
Mm-hmm.
And you said something along the lines of, we can laugh at them all we want, but they're training right now. And we should be too. And I do believe that. And I mean, I've talked about it a bunch on random phone call podcasts that I've been doing as a side project, but you have to be sick in the head to be a Nazi. Like, you actually have to have something wrong with you. Like, I'm not excusing them by any means, but I mean, to want to exterminate a race of people for the better of another one versus to want everyone to have food. So there's a fundamental gap in just insanity. I mean, the left is insane too, but maybe not in a way that's always so conducive to preparing for violence. And you know, we have this problem where we see like 5 Proud Boys. I mean, not you and I, because I think that we've both being subjected to violence makes you realize that no matter how dorky somebody looks, if they're better at fighting than you, or if there's more of them, the amount of times I've been with girls where they'll start shit with like a group of guys, and I'll be like, "Yo, I'm gonna get fucking killed," and they're like, "Nah, they're fucking pussies," and I'm like, "There's 5 of them." And you were a bouncer, so like, it's
classic. That's the classic move. It's like, it's like, okay, cool. I'm glad that you're feeling froggy, but I'm the one that's gonna have to deal with this.
I know. I don't want to go too off track, but I was at a like a burger, hot dog, whatever, one of those Chicago joints right outside of Wrigleyville. And I was with this just friend, this like 22-year-old trans girl, very beautiful, like innocent, not super doll or anything, but like whatever, little blonde girl. And these guys were yelling. They walked in with their girls and were just the most stereotypical bros ever, where they were just sitting there and they were just talking. Like within the first 2 minutes of overhearing them talk, they were talking about how if a girl can finish a whole, like, I don't know, 18-inch hot dog or something, you don't want to date her. Just like the dumbest stuff that we don't even hear anymore. Because even at least the bros in, you know, like Nails t-shirts or whatever, know not to really say anything that stupid after 2016. But my friend goes, she's not even drunk, she's feeling herself a little bit, whatever, and looks at one of the girls that they're with, those guys, and is like, "That's the most sexist thing I've heard in a long time. Can I slap him?" And the girl just kind of laughs, and she goes like that to one of the guys in the back of his head. And it's the wrong guy, first of all. And both of them look like, what the he gets up, and then she like kind of says something. She's just being a little like pretty quick and funny with them. And he's like, "Well, what if I just slapped you?" And she's like, "I mean, I'm not a guy." And he thought about that for a second. And then, like, you know, there was this kind of quick look at me. And then they just let it go. And I was about to love this girl. I was about to be so fucking mad if she did the whole whatever, those guys weren't going to do shit thing, because I was going to get put in the hospital, and it wouldn't have even been transphobic. There's all these times where I almost just get jumped, and it's for them assuming I'm the guy I'm not. But anyway, we're sitting there and we're eating, and she just mumbles under her breath. She's like, "We got to get out of here. I feel incredibly stupid." And as soon as we walked out, she's just like, "I am so fucking sorry." And I was like, you know what? That was funny enough. I would have walked away. Like, thank you for just acknowledging that you just put my life at risk.
Yeah. That's something that I've encountered a million times.
Yeah.
When I'm hanging out with, like, you know, with like white friends, or like when I'm like with like a white, you know, dating like a white person or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, they'll like bring me into a space where it's like, do you know that this is not the best place for me? Do you understand? Like that, it's a funny thing that happens.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's yeah. What a fun thing. No,
right?
I know.
It sucks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, to kind of wrap, you know, not wrap, because it's not being wrapped. But to kind of, you know, get through that. Yeah, basically, I think that this is something that I think that people do need to be talking more about not necessarily like the bigotry, because that's oh, I mean, of course, talking about the bigotry, but there's real things, there's real laws that are being passed, there's real legislation that is up right now, and there are real politicians who are proposing this. These people are real. These laws are real. This danger is real. And that, I think that's something that does need to be talked about more. I think we need to be way more black and white about that.
Yeah.
Like, listen, like I said, bigotry is not going anywhere. Like as long as misogyny is around, as long as misogyny is around, as long as homophobia is around, as long as racism is around, like, being transphobic is going to be around. Like, that's just what it is. And we still have to operate in that, and we need to make it to where, like, because the problem is not necessarily the bigotry. Yes, it sucks, but the problem is the system that enables the bigotry to actually inhibit these people from living lives that are safe and good. This has been a pretty heavy one, and I love that. And one thing I do want to do on the show is I do like to kind of go out with like something positive, something we're excited about, something that's kind of get the stoke up, So
sure.
what you got anything that you're pumped on right now?
That I'm pumped on right now. I'm gonna take a pause, just a brief pause to my first thing is I messaged you about her music. I know you know her music as well, but Censored Dialogue, trans rapper out of Texas. She's been doing some New York shows. This Trans Music Archive, I believe, is what it's called. I
thought she lived in New York. She's
a Texas girl.
Why did I think she was in New York? I guess it's just the swag. Because the swag does not feel Texas.
She's got crazy swag. She but go on her Instagram. She's like doing donuts and she's doing all the but I think New York we're getting all of the girls.
She's so sick. I've been a fan for a long time.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, she's super ill. Definitely check out Censored Dialogue. I'll probably go ahead and one of the songs in the episode will definitely be a Censored Dialogue song.
Yeah. She's like Backwash's awesome protege, maybe not exactly protege, but and there's this thing called Trans Music Archive. I'm grateful for a lot of stuff right now, because you just gotta be, or else it's like not trying to be not toxic positivity, but I love that you end the show with stuff like that, because
there's a big difference between PMA and finding good things and toxic positivity, and I want
absolutely
absolutely so I didn't know about Trans Music Archive. That's a website.
Okay, Trans Music Archive is it's a foundation. I know my friend Ariel is very involved. I want to see if I could credit anyone else. Rowan McDonald and Danny Olivia and Ariel Lowe. They decided to provide scholarships for different trans people who qualify to get studio time and things like that. Ariel Lowe, and I apologize if I am pronouncing your name wrong, Loh. She did one of the sickest things, because she won a Grammy this year for, I believe, audio production or engineering, and she just really quick had "Protect Trans Kids" on the back of her phone and just threw it up real quick when she when they panned a camera to her, which I thought was sick. And anyway, they are providing transmusicarchive.org. They're providing scholarships and things like that, and they actually, I think the first artist they chose was Censored Dialogue, and they flew her. I don't know if they flew her. I don't want to say. They got her some shows in New York, and they pressed the vinyl. Which is expensive. So I think that's a really cool thing to do. Do you want to trade? I definitely am grateful for some more shit, but I'd like to hear
that's
yours
awesome
right now.
And I will go ahead and say this. Don't say you like music if you don't fuck with trans people. Like, when it comes to both both making music, producing music, reviewing music. There's trans people are doing some of the best work out there right now.
Yeah, Lavender's reviews are
shout out
fantastic.
Lavender.
Lav's Music Corner. That's the homegirl from both. Yeah.
If you're not following, follow her on. I follow her on TikTok. I follow her on everything, but her TikTok's amazing.
Lav's Music Corner.
Lav's amazing. Exactly. If you don't fuck with trans people, you don't actually like music. My thing I'm stoked on. As you can see from the hat, it is
oh hell yeah!
It is World Series time. It is World Series time. I am a Dodgers fan. The Dodgers are in the World Series. They are playing the Toronto Blue Jays. They did lose 2 games in a row right now, but I think it was Monday night. Was one of the greatest baseball games ever played ever. It was so much fun. It was 18 innings. It was a 6 hour and 48-minute game.
Damn.
It tied the record for most innings, and is now second for longest time. But one thing that's really funny about that is that the one that's number 1 was another Dodgers game. It was Dodgers versus the Red Sox in 2018. And what's really funny about this, in both those games, in 2018 and the one on Monday, Brad Paisley sang the national anthem at both of those. And I think that's so funny and so weird.
He's the lucky charm.
Yeah, or the unlucky charm. I'm not sure, because it was grueling. That game started at like 6, and it started a little before 6, and it ended at midnight.
Jesus,
it was nuts. So World Series baseball. October baseball, gotta fucking love it. It's good stuff. And so that's something I'm really stoked on. I have like a really soft spot for baseball right now. It's like kind of like the only way like me and my conservative white grandma can connect.
That's
is
sweet.
We like text each other about the baseball games like that, and we watch games together, whatever. And I'm like really bummed that the season's gonna be over. I'm like, what are we gonna talk about for 4 months? But so that's what I'm stoked on. Stoked on World Series baseball. Stoked on that. It's very, very sick stuff. Maxelle, thank you so much for coming. Where can the people find you? What are we excited? What are you working on? Where can you find you? What should they be doing?
Okay, I'm Maxelle Talena, Maxelle_Talena on Instagram, and then I think it's just Maxelle Talena on Twitter, which I keep deleting. Dysphoria Dimes.
Stop doing that.
I know. No, I just take it away because
you're not just taking it away from you, okay? You're taking it away from all of us, and it's not right.
I'm taking a break, but I'm off it for some of my own mental health reasons, and it's not like the Nazis or people trying to tell me to KMS or anything like that. It's the baddies that fumbled along the way. And
amen, sister. Jesus.
So
Christ.
I would say, I got a podcast, Dysphoria, a podcast that's affiliated. Both of those right now are kind of niche. We don't really put much into production. If you want to hear trans people talk, I had some guests that weren't trans on affiliated, but it's really just conversations. But I'm really excited to announce me and my friend Laura, you can check her out on Instagram at Laura Bread Kitten. Who I believe she let a 7-year-old pick her name that now has like 10,000 followers. She's a fantastic poet. But me and my friend Laura are doing a podcast called Puppy Talk, and it is I'm trying to do something structured that gets out weekly, and maybe we talk about what we're going to talk about beforehand.
Hell yeah.
Attempting something like that. So that's pretty much, I'm trying to think if I have anything else to I don't really have anything else to plug. Can I give one more shout out and thing I'm grateful for right now real quick? Of
course, please.
Okay. There's a lot of great trans authors coming out right now. Well, first of all, shout out to Louis Weird Castration Movie 1 and 2. I'm in 2. It's some absolutely insane filmmaking. The first 2 are like things that I'm like, oh my God, I relate to this so hard. And the second one's about a cult, and I relate to that one too. But she's making great stuff. I think there's right now, in a time where people are all scared and uncertain, it's like, it was actually kind of heartbreaking. Someone made a tweet about they're like, you know what? I hate a castration movie. I don't fuck with like the whole concepts behind it, but there's such an amazing cast of characters, and in like 40 years, I'm going to see these people. And it was kind of sad. Like, it was like, you know what? I don't know who's going to be around in 40 years, but this is going to be such a collection of talent that of these queer people,
It's going to be that thing where it's like you find out later on that they were all there. They were all in that movie.
Yeah, no, but also like
all these people from these different places were in that one movie.
Well, let's hope, or it's just like, oh God, what happened? I didn't. Yeah, that's a positive upswing, but also like, not all of us are doing great, and let's pray for success. But yeah, it's a little thing of a time. But I just want to shout out, and I don't have anything to do with I mean, these people are both people I support, but Zephyr Zephyr Lisowski has a book out, Uncanny Valley Girls, essays on horror and survival. And then Grace Byron has a book out, Herculean, that's a trans I believe it's a horror / it's not autofiction, and we got to celebrate that. Also Little Puss Press is doing great things. There's a lot of we got to put shit out while we can. And I don't mean like they're gonna burn all our books away, knock on wood, but I mean people are kind of taking interest in us, the libs, and you got to get that book. You got to get Little Puss Press is trans run, but you got to get that book contract while you can,
Hell yeah. So
shout outs to all of them. I hate when people are like, oh, it's going to be great for art. We're all getting, everyone hates us, but it's not true. No,
it's not true. Exactly. Yeah. What was the name of that publisher?
Little Puss Press, which is Casey Platt, and I don't know the other person because I don't read, so I'm trying really hard to up the literary girls right now. Emily Zoe has Emily Zoe, I believe, is part of it. She has a book, Girlfriends, out. People are just getting weird with it. I think we're getting to a time where people are signing or putting out trans books that only have a little bit to do with being trans. It's Tori Peters with Detransition Baby, people like that paved the way to write horror stories and psychological stuff. But yeah, I'm really proud of both Zephyr, I can't pronounce Polish last names, and I'm sorry, girl, and Grace Byron for Uncanny Valley Girls and Herculean. Check those out. I'm really excited to read them. It's going to give me something to do in my Volcel winter. That I'm also I'm trying to end that streak, ladies. So what's really good, LA girls, fans of attractive AMAB people that wear baseball caps, that might be watching this show. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay. Absolutely.
I love you so much.
It's so mutual. You're one of my favorites.
I
can't wait for you to come visit again. It's gonna be sick.
Hell yeah, same. This is our first time recording like Dolo, just the two of us. So
yeah, absolutely.
I got nothing to do. I'll jump on a Patreon anytime. I'll do the are you doing the Rescue 911?
Oh yeah, I'm doing Last Responders. We just put an episode out last week with Jake, and it's gonna be part of the Patreon package. Speaking of that,
yes.
Thank you so much for everyone that signed up for the Patreon. It's awesome. It's really difficult to grow a show right now. You would think that after having like, you know, a moderately successful show, it wouldn't be that hard, but it is fucking hard. So please, guys, please like tell your friends. Please like I know I hate doing this, but my visibility is really low right now. I'm like shadow banned on Twitter and stuff like that for some reason. Like, please reshare episodes. You know, please like repost stuff. If you like a reel, please throw in your story. That's the only way this stuff's going to grow. And I want this to grow. I want this to be a sustainable thing. I want to keep doing this. I want this to get better. And this is going to get better because I have amazing supporters out there. I have people who fuck with me and I fuck with them, and I want to keep this going. So please, like, you know, like and share things, tell your friends, go leave a review, do all the stuff. If you can't join the Patreon, just share the post. I really appreciate that. It's a huge deal. Again, Maxelle, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Another fucking, you know, heady banger. Unfortunately, I keep on having people on who are like awesome and smart, and we do just end up kind of like
talking about
waxing for a long time, and it fucking rules. So thank you again so much.
For sure.
Episode.
And I am so down to come on anytime and talk about Paul Wall and
we're gonna cash in on it. We're gonna have a not so serious episode.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, please
we're gonna get real silly, but real with it.
I was thinking I was thinking about your the intro to one of your preview for all this, and you were talking about the one rapper they have. And this is just me today. I just got soul seeking again, so I was downloading stuff, and I was trying to get into my rock and roll winter and like downloading Stone Roses and shit. I'm trying to get more cultured. And then the only rapper I downloaded today was Lil Peep, and I had that in the back of my head. I'm like, what would Tony say? Anyway, yeah.
Hey, listen, it's just not for me. I have tons of Lil Peep fan friends, and I respect it. It's just not for me. And I don't think Lil Peep was making music for 38-year-old black men. I don't think he was doing that. So that's fine.
That's fair. And yeah.
Again, thanks a lot, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Peace.
Love y'all. Peace.
Word is born, you know my status. Word is born, I'm coming to get my culture safe, God.